Oh, I'm excited about this one. Today, we are not talking about Pokemon or Rubik's Cubes or Duel Masters or anything that we usually talk about. Today, we are talking about one of my all-time favorite things from when I was a kid, Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, I'm one of those. Today, we are diving deep into the world of Sonic the Hedgehog toys. Yeah. Oh, this is fun. Ever since I was a little kid, I was a huge fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. It was a problem. I was one of those kids that was just absolutely, utterly obsessed with this video game franchise. I had the games, I had the comics, I had DVDs of the cartoon, and I had a bunch of toys. And today, we are going to be kind of going back in time, starting with some of the more recent toys that you can get today, and going back into my childhood collection to see some of these retro Sonic toys that I've been sitting on for, basically my entire life. And what better way to start than with this basic little Sonic toy that I found somewhere. I don't remember where. As far as I can tell, this is just what most Sonic toys look like these days. This packaging, these designs, etc. Let's see if we can, get this guy out. Is he, loud. So it comes with this little accessory, which is one of the little spring button things that Sonic bounces off of in the games. And I just noticed you can do this. It's like a little button. That's cute. I'm gonna throw it away. But of course, here is the man himself, Sonic the Hedgehog. And this is this is a pretty nice toy. It's well articulated, but the articulations don't make him look like overly robotic or anything, which is something that a lot of toys can get wrong. He has holes in his feet. Did it come with a stand that I just threw away? No! The toy, as far as I can tell, does not come with a stand, even though his feet have holes. And because Sonic has such a thin little body and gigantic head, can he stand? No. You can also tell he's meant to be holding something, but this toy did not come with any accessories for him to hold. There's gotta be a way to get him to stand. Maybe spread his feet apart a little bit, stand him up straight. Nah, he's too top heavy. But no, this is basically what Sonic looks like these days. He's tall, he's thin, and he has this face, and he almost never really budges from this face. I gotta be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the modern designs for the Sonic characters. I think they're a little bit too streamlined. They're lacking in personality and kind of lacking in expressiveness, but this one's all right. I mean, he's got a little bit more of that scowl that he had back in the 2000s, so, you know, it's all right. I just, if he could just stand. There's not much more to say about it. It's a nice, basic Sonic toy, but maybe we should get moving into some of the more unique stuff. Like, what about Sonic Prime? The fuck? Yeah, so this is a Sonic toy made for the Netflix series Sonic Prime, which I have never watched. I started the first episode once and I got kind of bored and I moved on to something else. But that doesn't mean I can't enjoy the Sonic toys. It looks like they gave the characters a lot more. Hold on, this is gonna be loud. As you can see on the back, it looks like a lot of the characters have these weird extra designs because I think the show is about like hopping between different universes. So, you know, Sonic's got these weird little attachments. Knuckles looks like that. Amy is like a cyborg, and then Shadow. Yeah. Why is he just Shadow? It's just Shadow. That's actually cool. I should see if I can find that one. I love Shadow. But you know, compared to the first toy, you can see that this is more or less the same design. Mouth's in the same place, got the same eyes. Like, it's a very damn near identical design, but he's much bigger and a different shade of blue. He almost looks purple. And he's got these weird little grippy grabby Wolverine hands and feet. I don't really, he looks stupid. You got some extra detailing on his fur. That's interesting. Doing a lot to kind of help him stand out against the other Sonic toys. So, you know, give him points. This is clearly a different mold and different ideas. His arms are more articulated too, which is where you can see what I mean about how the articulations can make a toy look a little bit more robotic. Look at those ball joints. Honestly, I kind of like this shade of blue on Sonic. He's got a little bit of an indigo thing going on. It's kind of neat looking. But now the test, can he stand up? Yes! Ooh! Despite the fact that he's taller and has a bigger head, something about his gigantic feet actually lets him stand on his own. That's nice. I think one of the things with this toy is not just that his feet are smaller, they're also a little bit curved, so there's no, like, solid base for him to stand on. I like this one. This is a neat enough toy that it actually might make me go out and find the Shadow the Hedgehog one. That's cool. But what if you don't want... Oh, I kicked something. What if you don't want just Sonic? What if you want some of his friends? What about, Espio? The Chameleon from Knuckles Chaotix and Sonic Heroes. You know, that one. Oh, this one's already, like, open. Cool. Oh, and it comes with one of the little checkpoint goals. Oh! Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. This is a fidget toy. This is a fidget toy now. This is one of the checkpoint goals from the old school Sonic games, and they've made it a little like flicky fidget toy. I like that. But of course, the focus here is on Espio. The chameleon. We're jumping straight from Sonic into Espio. We're doing some real Sonic fan shit today. This is going back to the same line of toys that this Sonic came from, but we're getting into some of the more unique characters, like Espio here. You can tell he is supposed to be a chameleon. He has the same basic facial design and body design as Sonic, except he has a horn where his nose should be, and he has a curly little chameleon tail. I believe his character was first introduced in the Sega 32X game Knuckles Chaotix. I think it's a 32X game. It was an attachment for the Sega Genesis, so it is kind of weird, but it was a game all about Knuckles, Charmy the Bee, Espio, and Vector, the crocodile. And then eventually they brought this character back for some of the mainline Sonic games like Sonic Heroes with Team Chaotix. Yeah, Team Chaotix. And he's also made appearances in like Sonic Forces and stuff like that, which is why you're seeing him kind of in this line, which is very like Sonic Forces coded. I loved Sonic Heroes back in the day, so I would have killed for an Espio toy. So now I have one, baby. Also, again, purple. He's kind of a pinkish purple, and I dig that. I never noticed how bedazzled his arm and feet braces are. No, but that's a cool one. I really like that they're kind of getting a little bit more obscure with some of these toys. I mean, yeah, obviously I could have shown off like Tails and Knuckles and all of the other like basic Sonic characters, which I will do. But when it came to like what toys I actually wanted to open in this video, I kind of wanted to do some of the weirder ones. For instance, what y'all know about Mighty the Armadillo? Twice. Yeah, we're doing some real obscure Sonic stuff. Ooh, this was a 30th anniversary one. He's old. Like I said, first off, the accessory that this guy comes with is one of these little TV screens that give you an extra life in Sonic. If you were playing one of the old school Sonic Genesis games and you saw one of these, you break it, you get an extra life. That's pretty cool. That's a nice little desk display even. I never really noticed just how stubby this little Mighty the Armadillo toy was until I got him out of the box. His head is huge and his body's just a little guy. Let's go ahead and open up the tiny one too. Same line, same packaging, just smaller. These are the kind of ones that you might expect to see in like a Walmart checkout line. We got a little ring, little Sonic ring. And there we have Mighty the Armadillo, a very, very obscure Sonic character up until recently, who I always loved growing up. I thought this character was really cool. My favorite Sonic character is Knuckles, so this just reminded me of Knuckles, so I liked him. But if you're not familiar, Mighty the Armadillo originated in a weird Sonic the Hedgehog arcade game way back in the 90s, I want to say. He had a few appearances, I believe, in the Sonic comics, which is where I found him back in the day. I had a lot of those old Sonic Archie comics that had a bunch of the expanded universe characters, including Mighty the Armadillo here. But recently, they put this guy in Sonic Mania, along with the other character from that weird old arcade game, as a kind of a DLC bonus. So he's become a lot more well-known recently, which is why we've got these toys. Oh, I love this guy. Like, aside from the big armadillo ears, he's kind of like a little hodgepodge of Shadow and Knuckles, you know? He's got kind of the long hair thing going on that Knuckles has, even though this, I believe, is meant to be like an armadillo's hard shell. But he's also got the black and red color scheme of Shadow the Hedgehog. So as a kid who loved both Knuckles and Shadow, this guy just immediately appealed to me. I'm so glad to have a little toy of him now. I love that we're getting these obscure characters. But what if one character isn't enough? What if you need literally every character? Found this recently. This is the Nano Metal Figs die-cast Sonic the Hedgehog character set. This is really neat because this comes with basically everyone across all eras. So let's get this guy out. Oh, these are heavy, dude. Ooh, oh, they're sharp. Ow. Ugh, finally. All right, I finally got them all out of the packaging, and listen to this. You could do some, like, magical sparkle Foley with that. But let's scooch all of these to the side and start going through them one by one, starting, of course, with the boy, Sonic the Hedgehog. This is an interesting pose. It's given a little bit more Sonic Adventure than Sonic Forces or Frontiers or anything like that. And he's a little bit translucent. He's shiny and almost a little see-through. It's kind of neat. And the cool thing about this set is that it kind of acts like a little history of Sonic the Hedgehog because, you know, the very first Sonic game came out in 1991 on the Sega Genesis, and then in Sonic 2, they introduced Tails, his sidekick and best friend, who's also like an inventor, and he is a fox with two tails. You can't really see two tails. Yeah, there we go, two tails. I always loved Tails, and I was also a big Star Fox fan growing up, and their designs as foxes always looked very similar, so that was always very neat to me. It made them instantly likable for me. Where's the other one? Where's the boy? Ah, my favorite Sonic character, Knuckles the Echidna, introduced in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3. Knuckles the Echidna. He was introduced as kind of a rival to Sonic, but they eventually became friends as it was revealed he was being tricked by the villain of the franchise, Dr. Robotnik, or Dr. Eggman, depending on how old you are, I guess. Yes, the villain all the way back from Sonic 1 was Dr. Robotnik, an evil mad scientist who wanted to turn all of the animals into robots and take over the world, something like that. The original Sonic actually has like a bit of an environmentalist message, but his design changed over the years, and eventually he became this guy who we now refer to as Dr. Eggman. Eggman, I believe, just started as a like mean nickname that Sonic and Tails gave him around like the Sonic Adventure time in like 1999, but eventually that just became his name. It just kind of stuck, at least here in the States. I think he might have always been called Eggman in Japan, I'm not sure. But there were also some other Sonic games at the time. I think before Sonic 2 even came out, we also had Sonic CD, which introduced Amy Rose, the other friend of the main Sonic cast, the girl with a hammer. She has a hammer. This is not what she looked like back in Sonic CD, but this is the redesign she got for Sonic Adventure, which clearly I think is more of what this set is based off of, given the designs of the characters. Sonic Adventure was the first ever 3D Sonic game released back in like 1999, so the characters all got like slick, new, extreme for the 90s makeovers, and this is what Amy has looked like ever since. But also in Sonic CD, they introduced Metal Sonic, a villain. I don't know what the lore is for that game, but they had a movie. Oh, hold on. I can do a thing. Wait, they made a movie back in the day, back in the 90s, around the time of Sonic CD and Sonic and Knuckles. They made a Sonic the Hedgehog animated movie in Japan that got released. These days, it's called the Sonic OVA, original video animation. This is actually my childhood copy, if you can't tell from the damage, but in this movie, the lore is that Eggman created Sonic... I'm flustered. In this movie, Metal Sonic was created by Eggman to be like the perfect rival to Sonic or whatever. I don't know if that's the lore in the games, because this is where I go to for my Sonic CD era lore. But another cool thing about Sonic is in all of these games, back in the Sega Genesis era in the 90s, one thing you could do after you beat the game, Sonic can go Super Sonic. Ooh. Wow. No, seriously, if you collect all the Chaos Emeralds in the game, Sonic can go this like crazy yellow Super Saiyan mode that makes him ultra powerful. It's always been compared to Super Saiyan stuff from Dragon Ball Z, but I've always kind of assumed it was just a deliberate homage to Dragon Ball Z, which obviously probably did it first, but I've never actually looked that up. But Super Sonic has always been like the super ultra powerful version of Sonic if you beat the games and collect all the Chaos Emeralds and stuff like that. Speaking of Sonic Adventure though, then we have this guy, Big the Cat. Ooh. Big the Cat was introduced in Sonic Adventure 1 for the Sega Dreamcast and later Nintendo GameCube as a little bit of a joke character. He lives in the jungle, he has a pet frog, and his entire campaign in that game is literally like fishing minigames. Everyone hates it. It's not good. I've never been able to beat it myself, but I've always liked this character. My favorite color is purple, and so a Sonic character that's purple, I got their back. And he was in Sonic X, the Sonic Adventure inspired anime that was on like the Fox box back when I was a kid. So I love Big, even though his one appearance as a solo main character in a Sonic game was absolutely terrible. They brought him back in Sonic Heroes though, and he was kind of fun there. Then we get into the characters from Sonic Adventure 2. I would say probably the most iconic 3D Sonic game ever made, because it was released in, I think, 2001 for the Sega Dreamcast, and it introduced Shadow the Hedgehog. You know him, you love him. This is Sonic's other rival. He's got Knuckles, he's got Metal Sonic, and he's got Shadow, the ultimate life form, a genetic experiment / maybe alien if you believe the movie lore, who looks relatively similar to Sonic from a species standpoint, but otherwise looks absolutely nothing like Sonic, even though throughout the game they're always like, which one do I shoot? It's like, you can't tell the difference? as one's blue, one's black and red. But no, he was basically edgelord Sonic for the late 90s, early 2000s, which of course made him unbelievably popular. He's probably the most popular Sonic character besides Sonic. And I was not immune to this edgelord stuff back in the day. I loved Shadow the Hedgehog. But Shadow wasn't the only character introduced in that game. We also got Rouge the Bat. She's a bat. Bats don't look like that. She was kind of like a cat burglar, diamond thief character who was the rival to Knuckles. In Sonic Adventure 2, Knuckles' gameplay was all about like flying around and trying to dig up pieces of emerald. And every character in that game had like an evil counterpart, so we got Rouge the Bat, even though she's also a bit more of like an anti-hero kind of thing. And speaking of Knuckles, you know, earlier I was talking about Knuckles Chaotix, the Sega 32X game from the 90s. Well, we've got the rest of Team Chaotix here. So we've got SBO. They've given him yellow eyes for some reason, so you can't see his pupils, so he looks a little creepy, but it is SBO. Then you got Vector, the crocodile. I like his little stance. He's kind of grooving. He wears headphones. He wears a chain. He's got like kind of a gruff voice like this, and he's grooving right now. I like this pose. And then of course the most divisive member of Team Chaotix, potentially one of the most divisive Sonic characters of all time, Charmy the Bee. People hate this little fucker. He's one of those like little kid characters who's really peppy and kind of annoying or something like that. But you know, they're kind of an iconic little team. That's Team Chaotix from Sonic Heroes, or the Knuckles Chaotix crew, if you want to go back that far. I'm not sure if these are meant to go together, but I am going to show them off together. We have Cream and a Chow, which may be Cheese. I'm not sure. Cream here was introduced in Sonic Advance 2, I want to say. She's just this cute little rabbit kid who can fly with her gigantic ears, I guess. Her ears work like wings, and she always had this little sidekick of a Chow. Now, Chows were introduced in Sonic Adventure as your little virtual pet character. It was the 90s, Tamagotchis were all the rage, Pokemon was big, so Sonic introduced this little virtual pet care thing with these little creatures called Chows. You could take care of them in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, but then with the introduction of Cream, she had a pet Chow that was always by her side named Cheese. So I'm not sure if this is meant to be Cheese the Chow or just a generic Chow, but I'm gonna lump them together either way. Speaking of the old school Sonic handheld games, then we got Blaze the Cat, who was introduced in Sonic Rush for the Nintendo DS. I don't really know much about her, but she was a playable character in the Sonic Rush games, and then eventually got introduced into the mainline series with, unfortunately, Sonic 06, the worst game in the franchise to most people. As much as people in the Sonic fandom do love Blaze the Cat, her biggest primary appearance is in the worst game in the franchise, as well as Silver the Hedgehog, the third main playable character in Sonic 06, who was introduced deliberately for that game. I think he was created for that story. And because he was introduced in the worst game in the franchise, he's not made too many appearances since. He was in Sonic Rivals for the PlayStation Portable, and they brought him back for Sonic Forces, but people also hate that game, so, you know, give some love to Silver. Give some love to Silver and Blaze. People like them. They don't like their games, but they like them. And I like them too. I drew Silver a lot back when I was a kid. And then the last of these little die-cast toys that appears is what's her name? What's her name? Sonic Frontiers girl. Sage! We have Sage from Sonic Frontiers, the most recent mainline 3D Sonic game. She's kind of a villain, kind of not. She's this like computer program personified that Eggman created, I think. But she is the primary character here representing Sonic Frontiers, which I don't know how you guys, if you're Sonic fans, feel about Sonic Frontiers. I love that game. It's the one where they basically made Sonic Breath of the Wild. But these are really nice. I like these. They're a little bit low on the detail because of how small they are and all that, but just having this cute little representation of almost the entire Sonic history in its characters is super cool. And having toys on the shelf today that have Cream and Cheese and Blaze and Silver and all these characters that are slightly more for the Sonic fan, it's really cool. But if you're not that familiar with the Sonic video game franchise these days, you may very well be familiar with wrong game. The Sonic movies. This is the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Action 4-pack with Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Shadow, all with their movie series designs. So let's open this thing up. these are kept in with little elastic bands. Hold on, let me get some scissors. Now, I might get a little controversial here, because if you guys have watched any of my main channel stuff this year, you may have seen a video where I talk about how I'm not actually a huge fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. And don't even get me started on the Knuckles show. What I do to my boy. But I'm not gonna get too deep into that here. If you want my more nuanced thoughts, you can watch that video. They've definitely gotten better, but I don't think they're for me necessarily. But these toys are pretty cool. We got Sonic here, who's got a bunch of holes in his fur because he glows when you press this button on his chest. I'm not really sure how to turn it off, but he glows. You can see from this toy the sheer amount of difference in design we've got going on from movie Sonic to video game Sonic. He's a different shade of blue. His quills are smaller. He's furrier, like very, very much more textured and furry. Here he seems even taller than in the movies. Like, he's kind of a little guy in the movies, but this toy has made him, he's kind of got the proportions of a man. I still am one of those people who wishes we could have seen the original Sonic movie design on full display. I'm still a little bit bitter that they never released that cut, but you know, this is a pretty cool toy. I like that he glows. I don't like the holes. It makes him look diseased, but I do like the glow of it all. That's kind of fun. And then we've also got Shadow here, who, much like Sonic, glows. This time he glows red. He's got way fewer holes, and maybe that's just because the holes blend into the black fur a lot better. But no, I actually like this a little bit more than the Sonic one. His quills feel a little bit more substantial compared to Sonic's, who just looks a little stubby. I'm not crazy here. Like, Shadow's head is like noticeably bigger than Sonic's, right? I will say the sheer amount of like fur texture they've put on these toys makes me a little bit uncomfy. They're just kind of overly detailed, but you know, that's a matter of taste, I think. Then of course we've got Tails, who doesn't appear to have any kind of glowiness to him, nor does Knuckles here. Ooh, we actually have a Tails with kind of a grumpy face on. That's kind of neat. He looks not so much furry as much as he looks wrinkly. Like, he kind of has the look of when your hands have been in water for too long and your palm and fingertips get all like squidgy and wrinkly. That's kind of what this Tails fur texture looks like. He looks moist and wrinkly. And then we have Knuckles, who, much like in the films, has been redesigned to be absolutely huge. Like, this dude is tall and buff and just so much bigger than he is in the video games. I just noticed their shoes are incredibly detailed. The soles of their shoes are very realistically detailed. That's interesting. Though I'm not the biggest fan of Knuckles' characterization in the films, I will say of these toys, I think this one's my favorite. Let's see if we can get all these guys to stand. I don't believe they came with any sort of stands, but let's see if we can get them to stand on their own. Knuckles here, I think oh no, one of his legs is shorter than the other, so he won't stand that well. He has to kind of stand a little wobbly because his one leg is shorter than the other. Tails is usually pretty easy to stand because of the extra balance. Oh, his tails move. Oh, you can like pose his tails. That's actually really cool. How has it taken this long to get a Tails toy where you can individually pose each tail? Oh my god, that's actually, I take back what I said. That's actually pretty cool. I think you might be able to use that to help him balance too. Yeah, and then Shadow, will he stand? Shadow has weird, oh no, Sonic! Shadow has weird shaped shoes. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's a little bit suspect, but if you're delicate, I think you can get all of these to stand properly. These toys are cool. I like these ones. They're a little overly detailed still, but I like the posability. I like the glowy, and I don't know, they're neat. They're neat. But of course, it wouldn't be a Foafy video without some little mystery box things to open. Whether it's mystery box toys like this, or Pokemon card packs, or anything like that, I am always a sucker for these kinds of things. So, these are 5 to collect, so there's only 5 of them. Oh, and they all kind of build a scene. That's neat. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Shadow. So you don't know which one you're gonna get, and I believe you have, craftables. You have to put them together, which I don't love. So let's see who we got here. Ooh, we got Tails. Oh, he's... Oh no, he doesn't have his arms. So let's just see how difficult or easy these are to put together. And unfortunately, we're not going to get a full set no matter what we get, because there's 5 to collect, and I've only got 3 boxes here. Plus, I do have a Shadow one that I already opened a little while back, but I haven't put it together. So we've got Shadow guaranteed, but we're definitely not going to get a full set, especially especially if we get any duplicates. So of course, Tails needs his hands. We stick his hands into his arm sockets, and we stick his tails into his behind. So we've got Tails fully assembled and ready to be put on display, and then we have to build up this tree that sits on the grass somewhere. I see. There we go. Then we pop in the palm tree tip top. Tails here actually pops into the side of the tree. Oh no, that's where his shoe goes. There's a hole in his shoe, and it goes in the oh. Now we pop him back onto the base, and honestly, he kind of stands all right just from there. And it kind of looks better without having to have this little wretched transparent stand propping him up. I worry that if I try to add this, it's going to mess it up, but you know, give it a little bit of extra strength, hold him up a little bit. Yeah, he's falling. Yeah, you kind of need that. There we go. Yeah, Tails is maybe a little bit too heavy. He kind of pulls the tree down with him, so you need that a little bit, but that's the Tails one. I have a Shadow one just off to the side over here that I already opened and just never put together. So let's do that one real quick. I learned my lesson this time to just use scissors to make it go faster. Okay, let's see if we can put Shadow together a little bit better than the Tails one. All right, we can already see where that goes. Boom. We take Shadow's head and we bop it right onto his the base of his body. There we go. Now he's starting to look like the ultimate life form. All right, I gotta remember where thumbs go. Apparently in my Five Nights at Freddy's toys video, I put together that Springtrap toy and everyone in the comments was like, you put his arms on the wrong way. His thumbs are like backwards. So I want to try and make sure I do it correct this time. All right, I think that's as close as we're gonna get. It does not feel like I got it in there right, but it's stable at least. And then we can just pop him into the holes in the grass here, and boom, there we go. We got Shadow. That one was actually a lot easier than the Tails one. Nice. Set those off to the side and start opening up the other ones. Let's just rip into it and see what we get. Hey, Sonic. There we go. No duplicates yet. Let's see how easy or difficult it is to put Sonic together. All right. Let's actually start with the arms this time, since those tend to be a little bit tricky. All right, we got one. Go for the other. It's supposed to be kind of backwards, okay? Because he's running, because he's Sonic. Then we can pop his head onto the base, and we have our boy. There he goes. There he goes, a Sonic. Cool. Give it points for being the first toy we've seen so far where Sonic is actually in a running animation. Oh, he comes with this little thing that's gonna lock into the display stand here that's supposed to show just how fast he's running. I'm doing it backwards, I think. How am I messing this up? Ah, there we go. So that goes there, and then we pop some rings right in here. And lastly, Sonic pops right here. Hold on, I want to make sure I do this right. And boom, we got Sonic running with this little speed trail behind him and some rings directly to the opposite side of him. He's running away. He's not even running towards them. He's not going to collect those rings. But there we go. We got Sonic, Tails, and Shadow. Let's see who we get in the last one. The only other options are Amy or Knuckles. And of course, you know I'm going to be hoping for Knuckles. Ah, it's Shadow again. Oh no. Oh, we don't need to waste time with this. Is there any way that we link these up with just the ones we have? Or is that not possible? We can maybe connect Shadow to the Tails one. Oh, wait. Oh, hold on. Actually, yeah. Okay. I mean, it's not graceful. It's missing two rather large pieces, but you can still display this. That's not too bad. Yeah, that's kind of neat. Reminds me a little of Sonic Rivals, the PSP game, where they're just kind of racing. It's one of the only games where you see Shadow in like Green Hill Zone type aesthetics. These are neat. I'm a sucker for mystery boxes, but you know, truth be told, as you just saw, they aren't the world's greatest investment because you can end up with duplicates of something you already have when you're just trying to get the 5 ones that exist. I don't even think there are any like secret ones or anything in that. And I'm also not the world's biggest fan of having to kind of build your toys, because usually, especially on like kind of budget checkout lane toys like this, the construction's not going to be great, so it's a little bit of a Wild West situation as to whether or not the toys will actually go together well. But you know, these are cute. I like this. And while those might be the last of the Sonic toys that I have that were not opened, it certainly is not the last of my modern Sonic toy collection. I have a lot. So why don't we kind of lightning round this a little bit. First off, I went to a big box store once and found this complete line of Sonic toys that were pretty dang cool looking. They seemed well made. They had a bunch of different characters and they were all on like a crazy sale. Like if they were $20 before, they were like $8 now. So I have all of them. We got Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy Rose, and Shadow, whose nose broke off. Oops. These are all right. I actually really like the look of these. Unfortunately, they do kind of show why they were on clearance a little bit from time to time, because again, these are toys that you're kind of meant to like build yourself and customize. Some of them come with different hands that hold different objects or something like that, and unfortunately, the hole that holds the head on, it's not the most sturdy. And then if you look at one like Knuckles here, his feet are in like a weird position because they don't really like stay really well. So again, getting these things to stand up is a bit tricky. That one's working all right, but the balance is volatile. But for the price that I got them for, and the fact that it actually comes with like the whole main crew and Shadow, I actually like these quite a bit. I wish they were a little... Come on. I wish they were a little bit higher quality in terms of their build, but, you know, I think I got a lot more than what I paid for. Also, Knuckles is, like, way bigger than everyone else. Like, this isn't supposed to be movie Knuckles or Sonic Boom Knuckles. He's just so big. But I like these pretty well. I have a few of these little, like, mystery box classic Sonic the Hedgehog figures. This one is a nice basic Sonic running, but I love that we got one of those, like, robot fish enemies from the first couple of Sonic games. I think that's really cool. Keeping on the classic Sonic train, I've got these two old school Robotniks. This one I know is modern. This one I got at a used toy store, and I'm not actually sure when it's from. It looks a little bit older. It's certainly not the same toy as this one, but this design of Eggman I think is very particular to like the Sonic Generations era. So I don't know who made this one. This is a Jazzwares toy. I'm not sure if this is old or new, honestly, but we got a couple of Robotniks, one of which came with this like Mecha Sonic thing, which I can't remember if this is from Sonic 2, Sonic CD. It's not Metal Sonic, but it's one of the like right before the final boss fights from one of the Genesis Sonic games. That's a cool little deep cut. I have this little Totaku Knuckles figure that comes with his little Master Emerald. Totaku is this series of like mini figure statues that I was finding at GameStop for a long time, maybe like 10 years ago. This is the only one of a Sonic character that I have, but I had a bunch for a while of like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Neo Cortex, Kratos from God of War, the thing from Bloodborne, stuff like that. I don't think I have most of those anymore, but I kept this Knuckles one because I love that we get a little classic Knuckles representation with a little emerald right there. I think that's really cute. We've got an entire little mini set of the classic Sonic characters, including this Knuckles, which looks damn near identical to the one I just showed you, except I don't know if he's meant to be this pink or if he just faded in the sun. He probably just faded in the sun, but we got Knuckles, the original design of Amy Rose from Sonic CD, which is a first for this video. See how her original design was a lot more similar to Sonic the Hedgehog back in the day, which, you know, here's the classic Sonic. He doesn't look stable. And of course, you gotta have Tails and a Supersonic. Why not? But what's really cool here is we got one of our first standalone Metal Sonic toys outside of the die-cast minifigures from before. He also looks like he's faded in the sun. He's gone a bit sickly green, but and he's also a little dusty. Ooh. But yeah, we don't have a whole lot of Metal Sonics today, so wanted to really give this one a spotlight. And then of course, I've got a pretty decent spread of classic Sonic figures. We got this one, which I think came with the Robotnik and the Mecha Sonic from before. It's nice, it's cute, it's kind of weighty. And of course, this 100% is from the Sonic Generations and Sonic Forces era of a classic Sonic design. It's a lot more streamlined, it's cuter, it's not quite as weird and quirky as those actual old Sonic designs are, but you know, he's very cute. Similarly, there's also this one, which looks damn near identical, but with a different smile and a slightly different shade of blue. This guy's lighter and more saturated. But other than that, they're about the same size and the same whoa. I just noticed his eyes. Oh boy. I think Sonic's got a concussion. Then there's this guy who is a Sonic Mania specific toy. Sonic Mania was a fan-made but official old school throwback Sonic game that had like all the 16-bit graphics and Sega Genesis style stuff, and it was one of the best Sonic games that had come out in years. So of course when that hit it big, we also got a new like batch of classic Sonic merch, and this one came with like a backdrop that I think I've lost, and it also came with some different faceplates that you could swap out. So you know, you can make him look like a bit of a terrifying robot thing. And then lastly, one of the most high quality ones is this guy. I think this is one of those Nendroids. I think he also has Oh my god. Oh my god. He also has swappable faceplates and hands and stuff like that. This is one of those Nendroid toys that are very tiny, cutesy versions of characters that have a bunch of customizable features and are always really high quality, from my experience. And you can tell from the look on his face, like, this is much better craftsmanship than, say, this one, which is to be expected because these are usually more expensive. But the other thing is that every single one of these classic Sonic toys is a different shade of blue, like a noticeably different shade of blue. They can't decide on this guy. Is he dark blue like modern Sonic? Is he damn near green with this teal? Is he kind of like a royal blue? What is he? And before we get on to the next phase, this isn't really a toy, but I got this for Christmas a year or so ago, and I just absolutely love it. This is a Nintendo Switch Pro controller that has a nice little decal of Green Hill Zone in it, but over here on the other horn, there's a little Sonic toy in it. Isn't that cute? I'm pretty sure there are ones of this for like Knuckles and Tails and maybe Shadow, I'm not sure. It's just a transparent Nintendo controller with a toy just literally sitting inside of it. I really like this. This actually reminds me of the old days in the 2000s and the 90s with translucent controllers and video game consoles and stuff. This is really cute. I've never actually used it as a controller because I don't want to ruin it. It's very neat. Oh, and I forgot this. Here's Knuckles from Sonic Boom. There's Knuckles from Sonic Boom. That's about all my modern Sonic toys, so now we get to get into the real reason I wanted to make this video. Let me show off my childhood Sonic toy collection. Oh my god! You are seeing some of the most prized possessions of my childhood right now. So way back in the 2000s when I was a little kid, there was something called the Fox Box. It was a Saturday morning cartoon block on Fox, which for me was channel 11, and they would just show a bunch of like localized anime and maybe a few like normal Western cartoons, but primarily it was anime. That's where Kirby Right Back At You would show. That's where Ultimate Muscle would show. And for me, the big boy was Sonic X, a Japanese anime inspired by the Sonic Adventure games that I was absolutely obsessed with. And so when they released a line of toys, I of course had to have all of them, or as many of them as I could get my hands on as a kid. So this is Sonic. He looks kind of funky. His quills are like really like rounded. His face just doesn't quite look right. And his head is also a completely different type of plastic than his shiny body. If I'm being honest, it's not actually that great of a Sonic design for a toy, but it's just so nostalgic for me. You can see right here, he's got that classic 2000s Sonic smile. Then we got Tails, who is looking a little bit like buff compared to his usual designs. Like, he doesn't really have much of a neck. He also has a little bit of that weird difference of plastic. Like his little hair poof right here is that softer matte plastic, while the rest of his body is the shiny stuff. But the interesting thing is that the interesting thing here is that his tails wind and move, and it makes a noise. I feel like if your body was making that noise, you'd need to go to the doctor. So every time you move it around, you can hear it a little bit. But if you just wind him up, he'll just kind of sit there and spin. It's a horrible noise. That is a god-awful noise. I kind of forgot that it does this, you know? His mouth also looks a little weird. The sculpting of it is strange, but again, it's just a crazy nostalgic toy for me. Like, anything that I say negative about these toys is completely underpinned by the fact that I adore them with all my heart. Especially this Knuckles. I don't know what it is about this particular Knuckles toy and design, but I was obsessed with it as a kid. This was my favorite of the toys. I don't know why this one in particular. Maybe it's because it looks the most like the original character and doesn't have any of the weird like design quirks of, say, the Sonic toy. I don't think his head was always this matte. I think he's just dirty from years of dust being on display in my room. You can start to see like some of the damage from him. Like, these are well-loved toys. And then of course you've got Dr. Robotnik, or Eggman. This thing is actually massive. This is a big toy. His gait is strange to actually get him to stand. His arm is a little loose, so he's just kind of flailing. This arm is perfectly fine, but this arm, go crazy, go stupid, oh my god, oh my god. This is definitely the closest to that like Sonic Adventure, Sonic Advance design of Eggman's face and body that we've gotten so far. This thing is actually really well detailed for an Eggman toy. And then lastly, not Amy, not Rouge the Bat, or anyone like that, is Big the Cat. Oh, wait. Oh, I almost forgot. This Big the Cat also came with Froggy. Look at his little pet frog guy and with the Chaos Emerald in his tail. I always loved this thing. I love little toy frogs. I don't know why. Take from that what you will. These toys have a very like light plastic feel. He's very shiny, but the design is on point. His tail is sticky. Ew, ew, ew. But for real, these toys, every single one of them are some of the most like important and nostalgic pieces of my childhood toy collection. I will never get rid of them. In fact, I have actually gone out and bought more, because when I was a kid, these were actually pretty hard to find. I'm not gonna lie. We had to go out of town to find them often. You know, my hometown growing up was kind of a little bit of a dead zone. We had a Walmart and that was it. And usually you could only find these at like a Toys R Us or something, so we'd always have to go out of town to hope to find them. And every single time that I would walk into a Toys R Us and see this, my day was made. Especially if I also saw this. Ooh, 2 in the box. I absolutely love having these. I'm not the world's biggest like sealed collector when it comes to things. Usually I live by the motto of life is too short to not open your toys. But with this, seeing these toys in their original boxes undisturbed with all of the little accessories that they came with and the back thing. And when toys came in boxes this big, like it's just a pure nostalgia bomb for me. Like there is nothing that takes me back to childhood quite like seeing this, because finding these in a store was like finding treasure for me. These are the only 2 that I have. I have not been able to get my hands on a Sonic or a Big or an Eggman. You can see here, a Big was supposed to come with a fishing rod. I lost that. Every single one of them came with Chaos Emeralds. I have a few of those, but I don't know where they are. But every single one came with different colored Chaos Emeralds. And these are now some of my prized newer possessions. I keep these sealed on display in my place always. I love them. But those were not the only Sonic X toys that I had growing up, because there was also the Space line. Space toys. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really sure what these are about, because I guess I wasn't watching enough Sonic X to actually see what this is all based on, but apparently later on in the show they go to space and they become like space warriors or something. I don't know, I could only watch Sonic X on Saturdays if I caught it on the Fox box, so there was a lot of late stage stuff in the show that I missed and I haven't really gone back to watch it. And then one day for my birthday, I'm just getting all of these Sonic X toys with these weird spacesuit designs. What? And then they also come with these little Chaos Emerald like staffs. I think I lost the bottom of this, but they're supposed to light up, and I think the batteries are just dead, obviously. So there's a button on the back, you press it, and then this would like light up. Either the battery's dead or the studio lights in here are making it impossible to see. Yeah, I got one for Sonic here that has completely and utterly yellowed, so now it has that same gross, sickly green thing going on. I can't remember if this red one goes to Shadow or Knuckles. I'll give it to Knuckles just because red. And if there was one for Shadow, which there probably was. Oh, this one still lights up. Look at that. Look at that. It still lights up. Aw, cool. Yeah, Shadow still works too. Shadow probably had one, but I don't know where it is. These were really cool. I loved getting these on my birthday because I didn't know they existed, and I had no idea that Sonic X even went this far. So these have always been a rather odd piece of my collection. They're not quite as important to me as the other ones, but I still have always found them very interesting. They're kind of odd ducks, especially when you look at the designs and see, wow, these look a lot more like the actual characters. Oh, these look a lot more like the actual characters as they appear in Sonic X. What the hell is that about? Well, I did some research, and it turns out that this entire line of Sonic X figures, the original ones that I have adored for my entire life and that I have gone out of my way to buy sealed in 2024, 2025. I can't remember when I bought those. These are actually just repurposed Sonic Adventure toys. Yes, apparently one of the original lines of Sonic Adventure figures from the 90s or maybe early 2000s was just these, and then they were completely repurposed and rebranded as Sonic X toys in the mid 2000s because, you know, Sonic X was already just taking everything from Sonic Adventure anyway. Why not just reuse the toys? So any weirdness in their design is because of that, and that also made me realize exactly why I like the Knuckles one so much, because I was obsessed with Sonic Adventure growing up, and every time you would play as Knuckles, his head was always like kind of facing downward and you could never see his mouth. So this was kind of his pose when you played as him in the game. Of all the Sonic toys I had, this one had the closest look to how a character looked in game, and I think I just responded really well to that. And of course, Knuckles is my favorite character. So you get it. But that also answered a lifelong question that I had about these guys. Yes, they get bigger. So these are my Sonic X toys of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, all with basically the same designs as the small toys, but now they're very, very large. Let's do them one at a time. So first up, we got Sonic, who is still carrying some of the weirdness of the small toy, but is actually looking a lot nicer. I don't know, something about maybe the eyes or like the mouth placement, something about it looks a little bit more on brand for Sonic. Then we got Tails, which is actually a massive improvement on the small toy because the proportions are actually right. He actually looks like he might at some point have a neck. The head shape is also just a little bit better, and the tails, while they might not do like the spinny thing, they're a bit more posable and stable, and they feel like they match the body size a little bit more for this toy, whereas this one, it kind of feels like it's overtaken by the tails. And then of course there's my boy Knuckles, which you can see this one is yellowed a bit. I think I kept this one on display a little bit more than the others, but actually I would say that to some extent, for me personally, while this does look fantastic, it's maybe a little bit of a downgrade from the smaller toy because it's losing a little bit of that Sonic Adventure Knuckles pose that I liked about this toy. This looks a little bit more Sonic Adventure 2, if anything, but he's got a lot more personality in that grin, and oh man, this one's just really cool. They also stand really well, which is surprising, but man, look at how yellowed he's gotten over the years. But the big question that I had with these toys that this Sonic Adventure revelation fully answered is, why do they all have buttons on their shoes? What's this button? What's this speaker? What's this battery compartment? Every single one of these toys has a button, a speaker, and a battery compartment, but when you press the button, it doesn't move. There's nothing it does. Like, you literally can't press the button. For my entire life, I thought I was going crazy. I was like, why is there a button that you can't press? Why is there a speaker if it doesn't say anything? This thing doesn't need batteries. Why is there a battery compartment? It's a holdover from Sonic Adventure. These are also apparently repurposed Sonic Adventure toys that used to have buttons on their feet that you could press to make them say stuff, and when they got repurposed into Sonic X toys, they removed that functionality but didn't change the mold. So I was being gaslit by these toys for my entire childhood. There's even a screw in the battery compartment, but there's no need for there to be batteries in this thing. And to this day, I have never actually seen the Sonic Adventure originals of these, so I have no idea what these toys were supposed to say or make sounds of. But this shit drove me crazy as a kid. It's like, the button doesn't press. Why is it there? But now, having seen the biggest Sonic X toys that I had growing up, let's now take a look at the smallest. Look at this. This is an import Japanese box set of Sonic X mystery figures that my dad got me for Christmas when I was a kid. My dad was an eBay peruser back in the early 2000s, and he got me this entire box that came with a complete set plus 2 secrets. I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. The secrets are a gold and silver Sonic. I don't have those anymore, but I have all of the original set. So let's get these out and look at them. They're still in their little boxes. Oh, we can take a look at the side here. It's not quite as faded. So we got Sonic, Tails, Amy, Chris, I think his name is, the human character from Sonic X. Then we got Knuckles, Cream, Cheese, Big, Eggman, and his 2 little sidekick robots whose name I've also forgotten. And then the secrets, which I don't have anymore. But I do still have every single one of the main characters. These are also just some really special, unique pieces of my childhood collection. I'm excited to look at these again. All right, so let's start with the original Sonic the Hedgehog. As much as the box has been faded over the years, these toys are actually still in really good condition because for my entire life, I never left these outside of the box. Even though the box came with 2 of every main character, I never left them outside of the box. I always put them back in their case and then back in the box. So these are actually very well preserved. And this looks so much more like an actual Sonic X Sonic than the bigger toys. The design is actually perfect. The color is right, like the proportions are good. He has a neck. He has a neck. Sonic characters don't normally have necks, but just I figured I'd point it out. So we got a nice little Japanese exclusive Sonic X Sonic toy thing. I'm gonna put him back in his box now, safe and sound. Then we got Tails, which again, so much cuter and more on model for Sonic X than any of the Tails we've seen so far. It's so cute. Look at his little smile. Look at his little smile. The posing is really nice, and again, the tails work really well to help him stand, even though I never display these. I just keep them in the box for safekeeping. Then, of course, we've got Knuckles, my favorite character. He's so red. After seeing so many, like, faded Knuckles toys so far, it's actually really nice to see him just beaming, like, scarlet red. This is cool. This one's actually a little bit less nice of a pose. It's a little bit more neutral, and the detail on the face isn't quite as good as the other two, but, you know, it's Knuckles. I still love him. Back in your box forever and ever. Then we got Eggman, Dr. Robotnik. This one is actually damn near perfect. This pose and facial expression is less expressive than the big Sonic X toy, but it looks exactly like the more menacing poses you got for Eggman. Like, for how small it is, it's actually really well done. And they got that egg shape down pretty good. Then, of course, we got Amy Rose back in her classic Sonic Adventure outfit and design. No hammer, though. They didn't give this one a hammer, unlike a lot of the other Amy toys we've looked at so far. I like that her hands kind of meet at the bottom of her dress. It kind of looks like she's twirling. Twirl. I shouldn't have done that. Will she stand up? Yeah, actually, yeah, no, maybe that dress gives her better balance. So no, we got a nice, cute Amy Rose. Now we can get into some of the weirder ones, like here's the human boy that Sonic, like, crash lands into his house and becomes his friend slash pet for most of the series. I think his name is Chris. He's kind of boring. You know, you don't really want to watch Chris. You want to watch Sonic and Tails and Knuckles, and eventually Shadow shows up. So it's Chris. I mean, he needs to be here, but you know, it's boy. They didn't even give him like an interesting pose. He looks like that emoji. Oh, look, I just noticed on the bottom of these, it says copyright 2003. So these are over 20 years old. Who else we got here? We got Cream the Rabbit, who is one of the rare appearances of Cream the Rabbit. She was only in like maybe 2 mainline games when I was a kid, but she was all over Sonic X to my memory. It was one of the most common places to see her, I believe. This one's really cute. The pose is pretty standard. The smile is really cute. It's just a character you don't see toys of as often. And of course, she also comes with her pet Chow. Come on. You didn't see that. Her pet Chow Cheese, who is twice the size of her. Again, it's always really cool to have a toy of a Chow. You don't get those very often. And Cheese, I guess Cheese's primary thing is that they have a bow tie on. But yeah, it's kind of silly to see these two next to each other because this Chow is just gigantic next to Cream here. Then we got Eggman's 2 little sidekick robots whose names I have forgotten. They were exclusive to the show. They never appeared in any of the games. But you know, maybe their spirit lives on in the stupid, idiotic henchman robots that Eggman has had for the past few games. These are really unique to have because I don't think the other Sonic X toys ever had like figures of these particular characters. So to have these still is really cool. This is like a Sonic X exclusive set of dudes. And then lastly, we have the big boy. Well, literally, Big the Cat. This is by far the biggest, heaviest one of these toys. I know because when I was a kid and I would pull this toy out of the box, it would often just like break out of the bottom. Like I would lift it by this and the bottom would just come out and the toy would fall. So this, probably one of the best visual representations of Big that I've ever seen in a toy. I mean, the brown belt and stuff, it's a little orange, but otherwise, like, especially for his Sonic Adventure design and how he appears in Sonic X, this is really on point. And of the toys, this feels the most substantial because it is the biggest toy. So I always had a soft spot for this one. And I just remember as a kid, like always taking very, very particular care of these toys and always just like delicately putting them back in the box and trying to put them in specific orders. Like I'd always put Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles in one row. I would always try to put Eggman and his robots in the same row and things like that. It's like a little sliding puzzle. And I'd always want to make sure that Cream was with Cheese and stuff like that. Like, it was just a cute little like thing for me as a kid. And of course, like I said, this also came with Secrets of Sonic, but they were just this exact figure, but entirely gold or entirely silver. I don't have those anymore, and I'm also not a huge fan of toys like that because I find them very gaudy and not particularly satisfying as a collectible to just see, you know, my favorite character has been dipped in molten metal. Hooray. But with that, we've gotten through about all of my Sonic X collection, but there's still more. Because like I said, those Sonic X toys, a lot of them were actually repurposed Sonic Adventure toys. I didn't realize that as a kid, because in my eye, Sonic Adventure toys looked like this. That's right, we've got the Resource Sonic Adventure series of toys going. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, these toys back in the late 90s and early 2000s were made by a company called Resource, who also made some of these like really rare, really sought after Crash Bandicoot toys back in the day. These are exceedingly rare and sought after these days, but I have had these since I was a little kid, and I have torn them up. And the designs are interesting. I mean, this definitely looks more like, you know, Sonic Adventure Sonic than, say, the other toy, but he's also like damn near gray. Like his color is very strange. I don't know if this is like a fading issue, but also look at his face. Is like his face is kind of big. Like that does not look right. And a lot of these toys also came with little display stands that were oh man, that looks really cool on camera. These are little display stands that double as little emblems for each character. And I don't know where all of them went, but I only have 2 right now. And I've never really actually tried to set the character on it. So let's see if this works. You know what? I'm not gonna risk it because the primary thing that I remember these toys for is how often I broke them. I think this one's okay, but I swear as a kid, I broke every single one of my Resource Sonic Adventure toys that I had. So I've got my Sonic here from childhood. I'm not gonna do too much to it. I'm not gonna try and force it onto the stand or anything because I do not want to break this thing. It seems to be relatively unbroken, probably because this is a replacement that my dad bought me when I broke the original, because I definitely remember breaking the original. But interestingly, I never got rid of any of them. I know that I had one that I broke, and that one doesn't appear to be broken, so that means somewhere in my storage is probably another Resource Sonic Adventure Sonic. But anyway, let's move on now to Tails. This design is so perfect. This looks exactly like Tails from just Sonic. Like, it doesn't even look like Tails from any specific thing. It just looks like proper Tails. He's got a little hair poof here that appears to maybe be like on its last leg. It's a little loose. It doesn't appear that any of his limbs have been glued back in, which is what our go-to solution was back in the day whenever I would break one of these. And yeah, I actually do have the emblem for this one. So we got a bronze Tails emblem and a gold Sonic emblem. Tails always getting shafted as player 2. But no, this one looks fantastic, and it's a relief because this is what my other one looks like. He's bald! He's bald! But I could have sworn one of these Tails toys was broken in some way and had to be repaired, but I'm not quite seeing it on this because everything else seems to be working fine. So I don't know. Something on one of these has to be broken because there's no reason I would have 2 otherwise. But whatever may have been broken seems to be all right. Maybe it's the head. Maybe the head came off. I don't know. And then of course we've got my boy Knuckles. Now this one I know is broken because this leg straight up will not move. I broke this leg off at some point as a kid. My dad glued it back in, but he glued it in this position, so I could never get this toy to actually stay up. It just doesn't. God love my dad, miss you every day, but you kind of screwed this one up, guy. No, I was just kidding. My dad was always going out of his way to find these cool, like, rare toys for me growing up. It was very sweet that he would put in that effort, and when I would inevitably break them, it was very sweet that he would go out of his way to find replacements or try and fix them. Maybe this is one of those situations where, like, in order to fix it, you gotta break it again. So maybe if I were to take the leg off and then glue it back in, but in a proper position, I could get it to stand for once, but I've not really had the guts to do that. Otherwise, this Knuckles is really nice. His head's a little big. For the actual Sonic Adventure designs, I actually do like the Sonic X one better, but no, this is still a classic. It's still very much Knuckles. He's almost got like a classic like Genesis Knuckles look going on because of how tiny his body is and how big his head is, but I mean, that was Sonic Adventure. It was this transitional era from those classic designs to the new designs. But yes, I had Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles Knuckles, all in this Resource line. I'm fairly positive I've got duplicates of the Sonic, and I might even have a duplicate Knuckles somewhere, but I'm really not sure. Bless my dad for putting up with me. And while there were many more of these Resource Sonic toys, I'm pretty sure there was an Amy. The only other one I ever had was Big the Cat, baby! And this one is also broken. You can see he's, rather tarnished. He's not having the best hair day. He's got dust and marks and junk all over him, but most importantly, his belt buckle ripped off. Oh no! Where did his belt buckle go? So even the toy that didn't have spindly little legs, I still somehow managed to break. Gosh dang it. Maybe his tail was glued back on, I'm not sure. But no, this is my entire Sonic Adventure Resource collection here. 2 tails, a Sonic, a Knuckles, and a Big the Cat. I have never gone out of my way to try and find these in their boxes because I know for a fact that almost anything Resource made is expensive now. But I'm really glad that I have these and that I've preserved them to whatever extent I'm able to over the years. But we are not at the tip top yet, because if there is one thing more iconic than Sonic Adventure, it's Sonic Adventure 2, baby! Yes! So this is an extremely rare Sonic figure these days. This is a Joyride brand Sonic Adventure 2 Sonic figure from the 2000s. I'm fairly positive these released around the time Sonic Adventure 2 was new. You can tell he's got the soap shoes. He's got the like rail grindy soap shoes from Sonic Adventure 2, which was the only game where he ever wore those. But I remember the commercials for these, man. There were a lot of these for like slightly more niche video game franchises at the time, but I always remembered these commercials showing these toys being like molded out of what looked like clay and then painted directly, and I always thought like these are works of art. And you'll notice his nose is missing. That's because I played with these as a kid. Yes, I thought of them as works of art, but I also played with them. I used to rip his head off all the time. I almost did it right then. But no, like I noticed that you could take his head off and put it back on, so I would just do that all the time. His tail back here is like almost coming off, and at one point, the nose just fell off, and it probably got vacuumed up one day. So this is just what he is now. I actually found one of these at a retro game shop years and years ago, just sitting on their counter. Not in a box, nothing like that. It was just sitting on their counter. They weren't trying to sell it. It was just out on display. None of us knew that these things were rare. They might not have even been that rare at the time, but I saw it on the counter. It's still at its nose. It was in good condition. And I asked them if they would sell it to me, and they were like, sure, what do you give for it? And I was like, $10? Deal. So this one is my actual childhood one, so I'm keeping this guy forever. I've had this guy on my desk for a long time too, but this is not the only one that I have. Uh-oh, who else could it be? Why is my voice doing that? It's Shadow the Hedgehog, my guy. Yes, the nose came off of this one too, but this one I think is even more rare. It's like the only Sonic Adventure 2 branded Shadow the Hedgehog toy that may have ever existed. But unlike the Sonic one, I actually have the stand that came with this thing. Both of these had stands that they were meant to be displayed on, and I could never quite get it right. You can hear it's very squeaky. Oh, the holes might not have been cut particularly well. Everything about these toys are so high quality, but the holes in the feet, maybe not so much. There we go. I think that's about as good as I'm gonna get it. So this is the Shadow stand. It kind of looks like the speed up rails from Sonic Adventure 2. I guess. Just says Shadow on it, and then I probably should have shown this off before covering it up, but there's a little Game Pro Sonic Adventure 2 battle sticker on there, which I thought was really cool. I definitely still have the stand for the Sonic somewhere. I just haven't found it in my storage. I never got rid of any of my Sonic toys when I was a kid, and even the stuff that I don't have now, I always make sure to like really preserve as many of my childhood ones as I can. It helps that most of them are in some way broken, but still, these are some of my absolute prized childhood possessions. I will never let go of these. In fact, I really want to find the stand for this guy so I can display them both properly. But yes, these are my Sonic toys. Are you impressed? Yeah. Leave.